Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I pray the Holy Month of Ramadan has been going well for you and your families. May Allah accept your fast, prayers, and a'mal. Welcome back to our second session in our weekly Thursday series with Sayyid Hussain Makke. Inshallah, throughout the Holy Month of Ramadan, we will continue our weekly series every Monday with Sister Zahra Makke, and every Thursday with Sayyid Hussain Makke, both starting at 7 p.m. each week. Today's session is titled Parallels Between Freedom and Servanthood of God. Please, may I ask that you leave your questions in the comments section on either Facebook or YouTube. And inshallah, I will read them out to the Sayyid at the end where he can answer them, time permitting. I'm now honored to welcome Sayyid Hussain Makke to give his lecture. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, Habibi. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Missing you a lot in London.
أنا مشتاق لك Habibi. Missing you too.
Ma'joor, inshallah. I hope your day of fasting went well. You guys have broken your fast now.
Yes. We just broke our fast an hour ago. Yeah, you guys still have time, huh?
We have an hour and a bit left, inshallah. So hopefully by the end of your lecture, we'll have just a little bit left, and then we can feast.
يلا إن شاء الله خير حبيبي. الله يتقبل منكم. May Allah accept all your a'mal. Thank you for setting this up. And hopefully, I'm going to speak for about 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and then we'll open the floor for some Q&A. So please, guys, don't be shy.
Inshallah. Over to you, Sayyid. Tikal Allah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا من خزائن علومك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. My brothers and my sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I wanted to speak about an important topic, especially when it comes to the month of Ramadan and the following of ahkam and actions. So when it comes to our religion, we have different fields, if you will, of following this tradition. It's not just one thing, and it's really important for us to be able to split these dimensions up so we know which part of the religion we're following and how to follow that. So, for example, in the very beginning, you have a worldview. You have a way in which you see the world. This then becomes something that you call theology. If Allah exists and I believe in His path, and this is where you ask a lot of questions, and this is where you have to do this on your own. It's wajib. You can't follow a marja' for this to answer your questions when it comes to God's existence and building your worldview. Once you do that, you believe in Allah, you believe in the Quran, you believe in the Prophet, you believe in the divine law, then you follow the law. The law is what you call ahkam. You have aqidah, you have akhlaq, and you have ahkam. Your aqidah is your theology. It's your belief system. Everyone has an aqidah. Everyone. So those who don't believe in Allah have an aqidah. They have an atheist aqidah, basically. We have an Islamic aqidah, an imami aqidah. Based on this aqidah, we also have a code of conduct, ethics, an ethical life that we live, which we will follow. For example, today I released a lecture on the Imam's lecture, Imam's sermon, Imam's letter, Imam Ali alayhi salam's letter to Malik al-Ashtar, instructing him how to be a leader, how to lead his people in Egypt. This is going to be a code of conduct. It's not just about what is haram. There's a code of conduct there, ethics. And then you get to ahkam. With ahkam, there is something called ubudiyya, servanthood, devotion, worship, that we are going to be explaining today, in parallel to the idea of freedom. Because as you become more religious, people begin to come and tell you, why are you so strict, man? Why are you so strict? You're all bent up. Relax, be free, enjoy yourself. But what we want to do today is we want to give some critical thinking to what it means to relax and to enjoy yourself. because we believe in relaxing. We believe in enjoying oneself as well. So what is your definition of relaxing? What is your definition of enjoying yourself? We're going to bring in a few philosophical questions today, and I really want you to answer yourself when we're doing this. When we are speaking about freedom, about doing what you want, what you wish, then one needs to define that freedom. We believe ourselves to be free, because when we are fighting against the desires of anger, of desire, of shahwa and ghadab, we see ourselves as held down by those shackles. So we see ourselves free from those shackles if we're able to move past them. However, someone else might see it as we are locked down by our restrictions, and they are free to do what they want because they follow their desires. But then we have to ask now, if you are following your desires, if you are following whatever it is that you want to do, are you actually free? Or are you a slave to those desires? So let's look at freedom itself for a moment. When it comes to freedom, the human being loves to be free in general. We don't like rules. We love to do whatever we wish. This is a natural, normal habit and attribute of the human being, because we have a love for ultimate perfection and ultimate freedom. We always want to be close to ultimate freedom because it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is ultimately the free one. He is free. And He is ultimate perfection. He is absolute. We love the absolute. We want to go towards the absolute. So the purity of the source is there. Our fitrah loves freedom. It leans towards, it doesn't want to be told what to do. When you have a small son or daughter and you tell them, Yalla Baba, go to sleep, they'll say, no, I don't want to go to sleep. They don't want to listen to the rules. They want to live life based on what they feel. That's the normal human tendency. However, we all know that there have to be laws. There have to be limits. There has to be laws for my child. Otherwise, I would not be a responsible parent, would I? There have to be laws on the street, traffic laws. There have to be laws in the way in which people buy and sell and negotiate with each other. There has to be limits, and we all agree upon those limits. And right now, it's not me to come and say which limit should be there or should not be there. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about generally the idea of limits being there. The idea of there being a limitation, of there being a code, of there being a law. We don't disagree with that. We don't believe in a sense of ultimate freedom. No one does. As much as people want to say, as much as you want to say New York and the Statue of Liberty and freedom and prosperity and integrity, go and say something against Israel or AIPAC or anyone else and you're an anti-Semite. Actually, don't say it, just say it against a Jew or Holocaust. Just, if you put any doubt towards the Holocaust, what happens to you? You're an anti. Jeremy Corbyn is an anti-Semite, apparently, right? They butchered him in the papers because there are limitations as to what you can say and what you cannot say. So I'm not saying that they're correct limitations. I'm saying there are limitations. Everyone applies these limitations. Oh, that's gone too far. You can't be racist. Kick racism out of the football game. Take a knee. Right? So all of these things, there are limitations to how we have to be. Generally, in society, the modern world right now says, as long as you don't hurt anyone, then you can be free. As long as you don't hurt anyone. But we're saying, no, it's even more than that. It's not just about not hurting anyone. There are limitations that go further than just no harm. When it comes to, for example, walking down the street with your child, you will always limit your child, even if it's just holding their hand. If you take them to the park, you let them roam free, but you hold their hand when it comes to crossing the road. So you have to look at the pros and the cons. And from here, we begin to come up with the different laws and limitations that we want to abide by. The sense of freedom that we all love, that we want to be, it's within all of us. Whilst at the same time, we all agree that there must be a limitation to this freedom. And if you don't, then inshallah, at the end of the session, you can speak to me and we can talk about why that's the case. But we all don't agree with absolute freedom. As far as I know, no one believes in absolute freedom. And no one believes in absolute limitation. We don't believe in that either. We believe in an equilibrium between freedom and the limitations that can make you actually free. As Imam Ali alayhi salam calls the ones who worship Allah out of love and not out of reward or punishment, he calls them al-ahrar, the free ones. They're free. You see, we have to understand that freedom here, the general freedom that I'm speaking about of doing whatever it is that you want to do, we don't believe in that kind of freedom. But we believe in a freedom that is one which is unshackled from the lower parts of the soul. Most people, you see them outside, they look free, they dress whichever way they want to dress, they say whatever they want to say, but when they go home and they sit down alone and nothing makes sense to them and they have no meaning in their lives and they suffer because they have not applied the meaning. When I say meaning, there are limitations when it comes to meaning. If there's meaning, that means there have to be limitations. That means they can't be fully free, generally speaking. We believe in Islam, the true free person, the hur, al-ahrar, are the ones who come to devote themselves to Allah as servants of Allah, because this whole journey, this whole subject is about one thing, one question. My lecture today can be summarized in one question. Who is the ruler of your soul? No matter what happens, there has to be one. There has to be a ruler of your soul, no matter what happens. Who is your ruler? I'll answer this at the end of the session. When we come to Islam, we see we have divided fields of knowledge into two. We have ulum haqiqiyya and we have ulum i'tibariyya. Okay? You have fields of knowledge, sciences which are based on realities, and you have sciences which are based on derivatives, i'tibar. What's the difference between the two? Let me explain. Sciences which are based on realities, these sciences, like mathematics, like 2 + 2 is always going to equal 4. It does not matter what any individual has to say about it. You have nothing to say in the matter. You cannot affect it. It is absolute. That's the way it is. We look at gravity. There's nothing you can do about gravity. We might experiment to see how long it takes for this remote control to drop to the ground, and we can write down how many seconds it took, and that's just a scientific experiment, an observation. You have nothing to say about it. It's a science of reality. But then there are sciences that are derivative, like sociology, like common ground that we reach all together, ideas that we reach as a society, and we change these ideas as we go along. We have derived these ideas. These ideas are up for debate. These ideas have a lot to do with what the individual has to come and say. It comes from the individual. It's i'tibar. I'tibar, I choose this, or I came to this conclusion because I see benefit in this, for whatever reason. Okay. If someone comes to your house, and some people, they don't mind if guests walk in with their shoes on, and others mind if their guests walk in with their shoes on. What's the difference? I'tibar. I, as the host, my house, I don't like it when someone comes in with their shoes on, because it makes the house dirty, or whatever reason. Maybe that's not the reason. Maybe I just don't like it. Maybe it's not comfortable. It's my house, right? People say, my house, my rules. So if it's my house, it's my rules. If you're coming into my house, everyone accepts. When you go to someone's house, you accept their rules. You don't just impose your own rules. In my house, I don't want to buy a TV. Someone else comes and says, well, what are you pointing all your furniture towards? I'm like, no, I don't want a TV. It's my house, my rules. This is i'tibar. Okay? So let's say school uniforms. You must wear the color blue. Khalas. Our school is based on the color blue. I'tibar. Why? What's the reason? Is it scientific? No, it's not scientific. Is it up for debate? Yeah, we can think about it. But khalas, like, I'm not going to give a reason. Many administrations, when schools give out their uniforms, no one comes to explain why the color is blue or purple or red. Khalas, we all just go and buy the uniform for our children. It's nothing to do with us. It's i'tibar. They chose this. That's what they chose. It's not a scientific conclusion. If you make the bedtime for your children 9 p.m., someone comes and says, well, why not 10 p.m.? Can't they be 10 p.m.? You say, yeah, it can. But I chose 9. I saw 9 as the best. I looked at the pros and the cons and I felt like 9 was the wisest decision. Well, can you think about if it can be 10? Yeah, we can think about that. No big deal, right? But with gravity, you can't think about gravity. You can't say, okay, let me think about it and change. You can't. Let me think about 2 + 2 = 5. You can't. It's nothing to do with you. Okay, is that clear? Inshallah? Okay. When we come to the Sharia of Allah, the Ahkam, after we have done our research, after we have thought with all our intellect, asked all our questions, and we have decided to be servants of Allah, we follow His laws. Those laws that we follow, praying 5 times a day, fasting in Shahr Ramadan, having to recite some words in order to marry your spouse, not just being with someone just like that. Things like not eating pork, not drinking alcohol, not shaking the hand of the opposite gender, whatever it is, whatever the law is, that's all part of the Sharia. Sometimes we know the reasons, sometimes we don't know the reasons. Most of the time we don't know the reasons. They're not written down. We're only following this after we have accepted God, the Quran, and the Prophet. We've accepted them. Once we accept them, it's upon us to follow. So, once we are following, they're not always going to give us the reason. Some people think that the Sharia is based on ulum haqiqiyya, but it's not. The Sharia is of ulum i'tibariyya. It's something which has i'tibar. It's an opinion, but it's God's opinion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has derived this for a reason. There is always hikmah in what Allah does. But who said I have to know what the hikmah is? Who said I must know? And don't think that what I'm saying is reductionist. It's not, because I'm going to ask some deep questions now. I'm not saying that, oh, khalas, Allahu a'lam. No, I'm saying after you do all this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after you've come to acknowledge Allah, His existence, and as your creator and your Lord, and you're following His message, then who said He needs to explain to you anything about what He says to do? Where did that idea that I need to know what it is that I'm following right now for me to follow it peacefully? Where did that come from? For example, khanzir. Allah has forbidden the Muslim to eat khanzir, pig, pork. We can't eat it. We don't know why. It doesn't say why. We just know that there is benefit in not eating it, and Allah prefers this. So we do that. If you want to ask why, we have maybe, well, the pig is a dirty animal. That could be the reason, but we don't know. The pig eats its own feces. It could be the reason, but we don't know. The pig, we see that it has no ghira over his spouse. It's not jealous of a spouse. The pig can look at his spouse with another pig and he's fine with it. That could be the reason that if you eat, we have a narration that says if you eat from the meat of a pig, that this creates the likeness of that, the likeness of not having ghira. However, that's not the reason why it's haram. We don't know. It could be, but we don't know. It's not given. What we do know is there is hikmah behind not eating it, so we don't eat it. The camel, it's mustahab to eat camel meat. Did you know that? You know it's mustahab to eat the meat of a camel? Why? We don't know. We don't know why, but we know the hukum is there. The Imam advised it, but he didn't explain why. Well, we also have, the camel is actually one of the most ferociously jealous animals there are. It's actually so funny, so cute. The camel, if you notice, go and research the camel and what it's like. The camel is a very shy and honorable creature. It does not allow anyone to see it when it is with its spouse. The camel, if you do anything to dishonor the camel memorizes your face. And in 5 years' time, if it sees you, it knows you're an enemy. It remembers it. The camel has a lot of ghira. Well, someone might come and say, maybe it's mustahab to eat the camel meat because it has ghira, so it makes a man have more ghira. But we don't know if that's the reason. It might be, but we don't know. When you go to follow anyone doing anything, when it comes to our tradition especially, we say, listen, you find this a lot. The wise uncle and the wise aunt, right? That's the wise guy, the smart guy. Because he's successful in his business, somehow he thinks he knows the Quran and all the scholars and what they say, and he's smarter than them. And he says, when you convince me, I will follow. When you convince me about the hikmah behind this hukum, I will do it. But here's the thing. If you won't do this unless you're convinced, who are you actually following? God or yourself? Remember when I said, who is the ruler of your soul? Who reigns over your soul? When you are saying, I will follow once I am convinced, or let me know the reason, I'll think about it. When I know, when I feel like it makes sense to me, then I'll do it. Who said it has to make sense to you? And if that's the case, who are you actually following? You're following yourself. You're following what you believe to be right. It's nothing to do with God anymore, so you're devoted to yourself. You're following yourself, so yourself rules over you. So then we look at Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off, Daniel's son. Wax on, wax off. And Daniel's son tells him, Mr. Miyagi, what are you doing? This doesn't do anything for me. I want to clean your car. Your car is clean. I already cleaned it. And he says, wax on, wax off. And when do you see it? At the end of the movie, when they're attacking Daniel and he does this and does that and he blocks it and realizes, oh look, I've been training martial arts this whole time. I didn't know that's what I was doing when I was cleaning the car. But my master told me, wax on, wax off. Who said that when you think something is happening for a certain reason, that's what it is for? If you're working in any department and your boss tells you, go clean the window twice, in the morning and the afternoon, you say, no, I'm going to clean it only in the morning. I don't think it needs a second clean. Habibi, مش شغلتك. روح. مش شغلتك. Are you working for me or not? If you're working for me, then khalas. If you're working for me, then you go clean it twice. If not, then salam alaikum. You can go home. You'll fire him. We know this to be the case with anyone. And when we go to pray, we start to make these contemplations like, you know what? Maybe Fajr is 2 rak'ahs, Dhuhr is 4 rak'ahs. Maybe if Dhuhr was 2 rak'ahs, it would be better because I'm busy in the daytime. And Fajr should be 4 rak'ahs because I have more time in the morning. Who said that's what Allah wants from Fajr and Dhuhr? Who said Allah doesn't think that, you know what? In the Dhuhr time, I want you to pray 4 rak'ahs because you're right now in the dunya and I want to bring you out of that. You don't know. You don't know. You can contemplate. It's okay. It's not bad to contemplate over it, but you don't know. We don't know. That's why this is called devotion. Now, defining ubudiyya. Ubudiyya is to devote yourself to what another says without knowing the benefit. Again, to devote yourself to what another says or advises without knowing the benefit of it. So we go to the doctor, we tell him what's wrong, he prescribes for us. We don't tell him, doctor, tell me this medicine, the reason behind this, that, the reason behind this, that. Usually we take it, we go, we purchase the medicine. If you go to purchasing, if you sign up with a personal coach, there you go. If you sign up with a personal trainer, so I have a personal trainer, for example, right? If you sign up to a personal trainer, you're going to them. You're becoming their client. When you become their client, you'll say, okay, advise me. How do I work out? What should I eat? And that's their job. If they give you their advice and then you start questioning them, you start saying, no, you know what? Why do you send me this? I think that you should change this into this. Why do you send me this? I think you can advise them and say, in my life, I can't get this. I can't afford this or whatever else it is. But you can't tell him, by the way, you know how you told me oatmeal? I think it's better if I have so-and-so. Why don't you go become personal trainer then? Why do you even go to become this personal trainer's client? Shout out to Zach. Best personal trainer out there. But now this would be disrespect to my personal trainer if I begin to question him. Why would I follow him in the first place? The same thing applies in ubudiyya. It's something called ta'abbud. It's something that you don't ask for the reason when you're going towards it, because this ubudiyya is when you completely devote yourself. Now here's the thing, and here's the ultimate question, because right now people, they might not like what I'm saying, but you do it anyway. Do you know that each and every single one of you does it anyway? Each and every single one of you follows ubudiyya and ta'abbud. If I asked you, why do you do anything that you do? Anything that you do. Why? Why do you do it? You'd say, because I want to. Why do you have this hobby? Why do you play football? Because I love it. Why do you play tennis? I like it. Why do you do this? Why did you choose this for your degree? Why did you? Why is this your bedtime? Why? Because I wanted it to be. Okay. Why didn't you want a logical reason for that? Why didn't you ask, oh nafs, give me a logical reason as to why I should follow you here or there or there? You never go to justify the things that you do through philosophy or logic. You follow it because you feel like it. But you don't, when it's the nafs, no problem, because society is built around what I want, what the nafs wants, what makes me relaxed. But if we say God wants, give me the logical reason, give me the scientific reason, give me the philosophical reason, give me the logical reason, give me the Quranic reason, give me the, and then when I'm convinced, I might follow. Allahu Akbar. So who are you actually following? So you already have ta'abbud. You have to just choose. The whole issue is, who is the one who I am following? Is it myself as a center of existence, or is it not? That's why the Urafa, ultimately they say that Tahdhib al-Nafs and its ultimate goal is ilgha al-ana. That's it, no more me. To destroy the sanam, that this is what you want to break out. The nafs is kind of like your baby daughter. It wants to just give me, and you want to just melt to it and give it whatever it wants. But you can't, you have to discipline it. You can't give it whatever you want. You must remember reality. In reality, every kingdom has a ruler. And this kingdom right now of your nafs, you have to decide who is the ruler. Is it going to be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or is it going to be my nafs? Either way, you're going to follow one of them. You're going to follow the opinions of one of them. Here you have the opinions of Allah, here you have opinions of myself. And this is actually a very deep proof of life. You know, tomorrow, if you decided to stop being Muslim, you have to go and make a whole new worldview with reasons as to why you decided to be that way. Because if you want to leave Islam and say, I don't agree with this or that, tomorrow, put forward your ideology. Tell me why you live that way. And tell me why you have these logical reasons. You won't make them. It will just be based on what you feel, what you want. So really, you just chose another God. You. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. If there are any questions from the audience, please put them forward so we may answer them.
Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid.
Assalamu alaikum.
Very insightful lecture, and I really loved the idea about, or the example that you gave about Miyagi. His whole time, you know, the whole movie, he spends his time training, and then only at the end he realizes that waxing the car was actually towards his training, without him knowing. So
that's what life is. Life is wax on, wax off. That's what life is.
So if anyone's gonna take anything today, just take that, because it'll stick in your head. It'll stick in your head. We need these kinds of examples, because that's how we can relate.
Yeah.
I want to say that there isn't any questions that has been left, and hopefully that is a good thing, because you've explained things well. But please, if there are any questions offline that haven't come to your mind right now, you know, send us a direct message through our social media. and I'll make sure I get them to the Sayyid, and either in the next session or say when Sayyid has time. I know things are quite hectic for him at the moment. We'll try and address them. But I appreciate your time, Sayyid. Thank you very much.
Habibi, my pleasure. God bless.
Majur, inshallah.
Thank you.
Please, I ask the audience to keep Sayyid and his family and his parents in your prayers. May Allah accept your a'mal. And inshallah, we'll meet again next week, same time.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. So just a reminder, we are having weekly sessions throughout the Holy Month of Ramadan, every Monday at 7 p.m. with Sister Zahra Makke, and every Thursday at 7 p.m. with Sayyid Hussain Makke. And for those that don't know, they are married. So Zahra is Sayyid Hassan's wife. So that's it from me. Inshallah, iftar is not too long from now. Please keep us in your prayers. And thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.